Hello, everyone. It's Sherry at the Fledge, and welcome to episode 351 of Every Damn Day. So 14 more to go, including today. So thanks, everyone, for all the support and all that. And you know what I'm going to be doing once we come to the end and publishing all the data and different things like that. So getting excited to start doing that work every damn day. And of course, I'm gonna give a shout out to Black Lives Matter, the shirt that I'm wearing today. Stay on that Brandon dude. Stick it to him. And then want to give another shout out to Eastside Neighborhood Organization and Summerfest that is happening this weekend. So it starts in I think about 2 hours from now. 90 different vendors. All of the businesses are staying open late. I think there's a car show and all of that happening. So come to the east side and support some of our local businesses. And then, of course, to the champ, Mr. Joe Walker and thisent.com. Thank you for all that you're doing for us and the community and the Fledge and the Every Damn Day show. So let's get to my guest, my very new friend, Mr. Lior. How are you today?
Hey, Jerry. How are you?
I am doing, I'm doing great, actually. So what you been up to today?
Well, so far it's a nice day. It's not raining yet. So, just another damn day.
That breeze feels good. We don't have air conditioning in the Fledge, so it's a little warm in here. So immediately after the show, I'm going to go stand in that breeze a bit.
Oh, it feels great. Absolutely.
So, hey, you want to give a shout out to anyone in particular?
I want to give a shout out to Advent House Ministries. This organization helps, a lot of homeless here in town, trying to get them into roof and shelter, doing great work. We work with them. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Good guys.
I love Advent House. I love it. So I love the work. I mean, we shouldn't have homelessness really, or unhoused people, unless they want to be. Some people do want to be, but that's
they're nomads. They're not homeless. When you choose to be, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. So I've always had that dream of driving around in a van and just living down by the river wherever I feel like stopping.
Absolutely.
So let's get into you a little bit. Where were you born and raised and went to school?
I was born and raised in Tel Aviv, Israel. Grew up there, went to school there. Early on, decided I want to be a musician, started playing the drums. That was, my life. I basically did that. 2002, I wanted to go even bigger with my dream. I moved to Los Angeles, went to school at the LA Music Academy. And basically that was my life till say about maybe 2007, 2008. At that point, I figured out that, Stevie Wonder never called me. So maybe I should think about a different career. But, once a musician, always a musician. It's something I like now more on the listener side, but we'll definitely catch some sticks and play drums whenever I can. 2008, I basically moved here to East Lansing following my spouse's career. She went and did her PhD at MSU and as an anthropologist. And that was the shift in my life, because at that point I was a stay-at-home dad, kind of trying to figure out, okay, what's my next step? And just basically got into real estate, which was an old passion like a lot of people have. Everyone watches HGTV and turn this ugly duck into this beautiful house, and they always make it look very easy. So that's nice. So that was my shift in my career. Started doing real estate here in East Lansing, Michigan, and that's basically what I do up till today.
Was that right in 2008 or 2009 during the
Yeah,
housing crisis and
yeah.
or the
So yeah, I started right after the housing crash. I knew it was. I got into it in a great time, but I really knew it in hindsight. Like when in 2013, looking back, like, oh, that was a pretty good time to get into it. Um, and yeah, just bought my first rental, went through the renovations, learned the hard way how to manage a property, did all the possible mistakes that are out there, which kind of helped and contribute to what I've what I've got today, and how we built it up.
Was the first house you bought a success, a learning opportunity? How would you classify it?
That's a great question. I think it was a little bit of both because at first it was a success because you buy it and you fix it and it's like, oh wow, look at this ugly thing turn into this nice thing. But then again, um, doing all those mistakes. So when you do the mistakes, right, you're frustrated. Oh, it's not making me money, and this tenant is terrible, and I got to go through eviction. And you hear all the horror stories, and now you experience them. But again, looking back, I think I learned a lot from the process. I learned a ton from the mistakes. I think the right way to do it is really start at the bottom, do every possible mistake, because if you're smart, you'll know how to make sure you're not going to do it again.
Yeah, it's always succeed or learn. That's what I always say.
Agreed.
So do you? I'll wait for a second on that. Can I go back to Tel Aviv for a
Yeah,
second?
absolutely.
What? Share something. I don't know what that a great experience in Israel in Tel Aviv that us Americans might not always think about or know about.
So yeah, there's a lot of misconception, and I think one of the things I can attest to, when I go back home for vacations now, I'm a tourist in my old town, right? And it's really amazing to find out every time how cosmopolitan the place is. I mean, if you speak nothing but English, you're absolutely fine. From restaurants to the beach. I mean, last time I just came back a few months ago, and we were sitting at the beach, and roughly 6 p.m. every night, the lifeguards are done, and they're basically giving their announcement that from this point on your own. And that was the first time I actually heard they say it in English as well, because there's so many people that are only English speakers that just spend the time on the beach. Highly recommended. I know a lot of people think it's sometimes not safe, which is maybe true, but most of the time it's really one of the greatest vacation destinations in the world. It combines great city experience that is absolutely alive 24/7. Whatever you want to do, you can do at any given moment of the day, and it sits right on the beach, and the beach is just, it's amazing. Temperature, everything is perfect.
And mountains too, right? Aren't there mountains
Yeah,
in
so
there?
yeah, there are. I mean, you can, it's a small country. You drive north to south, 7 hours. That's it, and east to west, I think even less, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you can get to see a lot. I know a lot of people that are coming, especially from the States. They got to do the Dead Sea. They got to do Jerusalem. I've done that as a kid, so for me, every time going back home, it just let me be on the beach in Tel Aviv. I just love it. It's like I can spend the whole day.
So if you recommended something to me, let's say I was going to go to Tel Aviv, just stick on the beach and then go party at night.
I think so, or just stay on the beach and party on the beach, because I mean the beach has
Oh,
everything you need, and the restaurants are right there. They will serve you with great food right there at the waterline. It's amazing, and again, being such a freed up city. Again, if you like clubbing, it's there. You like a bar, it's there. Pubs, there. Sitting on the beach, there. Great restaurants, great street food. I mean, I think many of my friends who went, Americans who went and visited, everyone came back with, yeah, 30 days were not enough.
yeah, I believe that. I often think that people think that whether it's Israel or anywhere in the Middle East, that it's like the Stone Ages, like they don't have things that we have here, and it's almost we don't have things that they have there. I would say.
I think there's a lot in common. I mean, first of all, I agree. The misperception of this being Stone Age is well. First of all, it's a misperception. It's incorrect. I mean, today everyone is calling Israel tech nation. I mean, there's tons of technology everywhere you go. You can feel it, even in places that are, supposed to be reserved from the 60s and stuff. You walk in and it's like an iPad here, a screen there. It's completely different than what a lot of people think. I think that if you go online and you just search a little bit on Tel Aviv and you watch videos, you immediately figure out, oh, that's a misperception. This place is not back in the Stone Age. It's completely alive and kicking.
Yeah. And I think we're lucky here in Michigan because we've got a strong relationship with Israel on the economic development front, where we're importing technology from Israel that we're using in automotive, we're using in very high-tech stuff that I think also a lot of Americans will think, oh, we invented everything. But it's not really true. Most inventions don't come necessarily from America.
Yeah, and a lot of it is coming from Israel, but most big companies, once they're hitting that unicorn stage, especially, they always shift a lot here. So I mean, it's America. We have a lot of great brains here, and Silicon Valley is flooded with a lot of talent. And I think it's a two-way street. Technology is moving back and forth, and I think both countries are leveraging it to a pretty good extent.
Yeah. And then there's all the political stuff that we won't really get into that much. But I think you said you don't really get a lot of pushback. That stuff maybe almost gets left there when you guys are here and talking.
I think so, because when you live in the region, whether you want it or not, you got to take a part of the conflict, right? Because if I'm not with my people, I'm against it, which when you come here and you're looking at stuff from afar, even if you read the local news there every day, I think you're getting it into proportion. And when you meet people who would otherwise be your enemies over there, here they're just humans. It's easy to become friends with, and even if the discussion is very heated and everyone has a side to say, and in many cases both sides are kind of right, when it comes down to that human level where everyone just wants to be alive, happy, and live in prosperity, I think America gives you that neutrality where you can actually do it. So back home becomes my 15th day on the news, checking on what's going on there, but then I'm living here. I'm focused on what's happening.
Yeah. So let's transition into what you're doing here. So you started buying houses and all of that in 2008 during the recession. I have two businesses. We Buy Houses Lansing, though, is what we're calling, right?
Right. So I basically, my company, I split my time between here in Chicago, where in Chicago I do mainly fix and flip. I buy houses that are ugly, very ugly, and I turn them into gems and sell them again. Here in Lansing, since I started a rental portfolio, I'm kind of here to stay. So whatever I buy here, I don't sell. I hold it and I turn it into rentals. So I'm not, one of those fly-by-night developers who come, build a house, make it nice, take a chunk of money, and move somewhere else. The houses that I buy here, again, usually very ugly. We make them very nice. We turn them into very nice rentals. We do a lot of higher end design. We bring in, the nice stuff into the houses. But I'm not selling them. So I'm holding them. I'm making the neighborhood nicer, and I'm basically here for the long haul.
So how many, do you mind if I ask some of these questions? Like how many houses do you have in the area?
So we currently have, between houses and apartment, we are reaching almost 50 now.
Almost 50. I think often we talk about the pandemic and we talk about the renters and the eviction moratoriums and all of that. How has it been being a renter or rentee? I don't know what the right word is actually, but owning these rental houses. How's that been during the pandemic? Pretty tough or smooth?
So the beginning it was tough, but I think it was more mental tough because we were walking straight into a lot of unknown. We didn't know what's going to happen. I think a lot of my colleagues were in the state of mind where, oh my God, all of my tenants are going to lose their job. The country is not going to support anything. The government will do their things, and and we won't be able to evict. So here goes our livelihood. We won't be able to make any income, et cetera, et cetera. Very quickly, we learned that this was completely incorrect. I think, and definitely in some states more than others, the support of the government to those people in need was unbelievable. Some of my tenants told me, I'm actually doing way better than I've done before because I'm getting the support. I don't think I had, well, maybe I had 2 or 3 tenants that were a little bit behind, but then again comes the government with the support, making sure that no one loses their house. So all in all, we're coming out of it. Well, we're not really coming out of it yet, but I think at this point, a year and something into it, all those fears are kind of gone. I think everyone, I mean, someone who couldn't pay rent before could pay it now. We didn't see a huge shift into more people not paying. If something, probably the contrary.
Okay, that's I've got a lot of people in my crowd that are like anti landlords, if I could say that word, and want ownership to go to the people. And they just look at, there's some landlords in this city that don't treat their houses right, that don't seem to have the respect that you're saying.
I absolutely.
How?
So what I think, what I think about it is, first of all, landlords are people, and some are great and some are terrible, right? I think, and this is a shift I've made through my career as well, because when you start and you have absolutely no understanding of what you're doing, a tenant is just a paying person, means to an end. But once you get the understanding that a tenant is actually your client, because bottom line, he may pay and go through the lease and everything is nice and dandy, but if you're a horrible landlord, that tenant lives in your place and the only thing he thinks about is the day after. When can I be out of my lease and into the next guy, someone who will actually come and fix my leaky toilet, et cetera, et cetera. And once you get into that state of mode, that a tenant is not a cash cow, a tenant is actually a person, for a lack of better definition, maybe he's a client, right? And the way the customer is always right, same thing here. Everyone, and this shift actually came from when I moved to Chicago. I was a tenant, and all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I had a landlord who was amazing. Like a guy who would actually make an impact on your life. You call him and he would say, not the cheapest plumber, but the one who will come and get the problem done. I remember we moved in and our kitchen was, and because it was students in the unit before. And the guy's like, well, they don't cook. They didn't care. And now we're like a family living in the same unit. 3 months later, he offered us a brand new kitchen. He came in, it took him a month. We were like, no problem, do your thing. And a month later, we had a brand new kitchen. The guy didn't have to do it, right? I mean, because we moved in and what you see is what you get. But instead of thinking, how can we end the lease and move out? We're like, oh, we want to extend the lease. This is the right guy to work with. And being influenced by a person like that, like, I want to be that landlord. I want my tenants to basically, if a different tenant comes by and asks them, how is living with this landlord, I want to get great customer review, just like when I want to get great customer review when I work with a home seller or a home buyer or just any client, right? So it becomes a thing of building your reputation. But I think you ask any one of my tenants, they all have my cell phone number. They can always call me. They can always text me, and they know it's not like, let me get back to you on this. And if I promise, I will get back to him, and usually problems are being solved immediately.
This isn't my word. It's David Lopez's word, and he's not talking about you. He's talking about the other ones I was talking about. But will you go buy up all the houses from the slumlords here soon so that we can get these guys out of here?
So again, we're working hard on doing that, and I do see that a lot. I mean, I had tenants who moved into my units, and when we get on sit on a quick conversation, they told me, yeah, we've been living with mold for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Nothing was done, and eventually we gave up. And to me, I mean, if you have a little bit of peeling paint, it's maybe not beautiful, but living with mold, a mother with kids, what are you doing here? Plus, the other thing I thought about, that's something I learned from my mentor, is one way or another, you're going to have to fix it. Why not do it now?
Right. Oh, because when they move out or the city comes in or any of
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I mean, I mean, unless you're a stupid landlord, and then your property will eventually get to a point that it's going to have to be demolished because it's not salvageable anymore. So I think the maintenance, the day-to-day maintenance on a property, it's what most landlords hate because hey, if I don't have to do it, I'm just spending money where I can just make money. But in the long run, if you're looking a little bit outside the box and you understand that when you hold a rental property, it's not a flip. You can't fix it and sell it, right? You're going to have to deal with everything on that property, every leak, every bad roof, every squeaky window at one point. So if you do it now, keep your tenant happy, and maybe because of that, now the tenant stays for 3 years instead of one, you're gaining.
Yeah. Do you so do you use subcontractors or do you have a big crew that you employ?
So no, I use subcontractors just because I think you're bringing a specialty person to a specialty job, and jack of all trades, master of nothing. That kind of gives you a mediocre property. Someone who can paint, but the paint doesn't really look nice, and he can put in the floors, but 2 years later the floors are going to start buckle. So yeah, I rather pay a little more and work with someone who's pro at what he's doing instead of paying someone cheap and then paying the expensive guy to come fix it.
Yeah. Some kid that goes in and screws everything up and then
Exactly.
whatever.
Yep.
So you must support tons of local small businesses.
I do. Yeah. So between my roofer, my window guy, my painter, yeah, a lot of people that I work with, and what I'm trying to do is hope that I'll always be able to provide more work for these guys. Some of my crews, it's like they finish one house, they go to the next, but sometimes you get into a point where oops, now we're months in between, and it's like, sorry, man, I just don't have anything at this point. But yeah, all in all, I think we have a good buying volume to a point that we can actually support a few good people here in the community.
Okay, so one more question and then I'll let you talk about whatever you want again. Um, so Lansing has a very high renter rate, like maybe in the 50% of the, especially in the neighborhood that I live in, there's a lot of renters here. And there's a big push when we talk about building equity for Black, brown, and poor people and stuff like that. And so there's a push to get that percentage lower. Do you see that as good, bad? Is it going to be good for your business, or would?
Well, I've learned that sometimes when your interest is aligned with the community, any way it goes, it actually does well for the business. So if maybe instead of renting, I'll be selling homes. I don't know. Maybe I'll just become the guy who helps them turn an ugly house to a nice house. But I think a lot of it has to do with information and education. A lot of people think that home ownership is a burden. Which to a certain extent it is. I mean, if you're looking at it from the eyes of an investor, rich dad, poor dad, we can go into those. But generally, I think owning a house is a smart move, right? Because now you're paying yourself, you're building your own equity, you have something to leave down to your kids. And if we look, throughout history, real estate has been one of the most important and main ways to build wealth, which even if you worked hard throughout your life to build it, maybe your kid won't have to because he has something to start with. Whereas when you rent, you might get a nicer house for the same amount, but really you're just paying someone, and eventually you're left with nothing. And I learned that many people are living with the misconception of, I don't have thousands of dollars for a down payment. I'll never make it. My credit is so bad. I'll never make it. And I spend a lot of time with a mentor who taught me that thinking outside the box and thinking creatively about how to finance a house can bring people into home ownership. And in many, many cases, it's way easier than what people think. You don't need to have even $30,000 in the bank for a down payment, especially in today's economic sphere. There is so much support and help and so many organizations out there that that's a part of their mission. We'll help you temporarily. We want to make sure you're not homeless. But in the long term, how do we get you from the street to renting to owning? And the great thing about Lansing is, there are not a lot of $1 million homes here. So getting to a home ownership, even if it's a 1 or 2 bedroom, just something to start and build your equity. And 5 years, 10 years down the road, you refinance or you sell it and go to a bigger house. This is a great way to build wealth, something to leave down to your kids. And I think some of the smarter homeowners that do that, they buy a home for themselves, they kind of get the drift, and further down the road, instead of going from a 3 bedroom to a 6 bedroom, they like, maybe I'll just get another 3 bedroom and just rent it. So now my wealth is, I have where to live, I have a place to rent. It's making me money. It will make my kids money because it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's a real estate, unlike investing in Bitcoin or any other crypto where, today is great, tomorrow someone tweets something out there and here goes your life savings.
Keep Bitcoin shady. That's my phrase. So, you hit on something that I want to expound on a little bit. You said from the streets to the rental to the ownership. And I was going to mention that there is a place for rentals. We've got students that will be here for a short period of time. Maybe we have medical professionals that, need an Airbnb for a few months because they're on loan from another hospital. And, from what I'm just getting to know you right now, but I look at you and say, well, I want you to be that guy, not the guy that's down the street from me that takes advantage of everybody and doesn't fix their houses.
So that, I think, again, that has a lot to do with the personality. I learned that, again, giving back to the community, and this is a big part of my business now, is important. Again, a lot of people do that, for the reputation. Oh, this company gives back, et cetera, et cetera. But other companies do that for the real, genuine give back. So what we do is we work, some of our rentals are higher end rentals. I mean, we make really nice repairs and people are paying top dollars, and that's great. But I want to say close to 45% of my inventory is geared toward affordable housing. And again, we work a lot with Advent House Ministry, with Holy Cross Services, with the Lansing Housing Committee. They always need people. I mean, in long-term or short-term, in their fight against homelessness, or just people to, that they need shelter. And about 45% of my inventory is basically purchased, built, and geared right towards them. I mean, I think my relationship with Section 8 is a pretty profound one. We've been doing it for a long time. I mean, now to the point where they literally give my cell phone to their next tenant who needs a place to leave. People call us, oh, I heard you have units, and the give back is amazing. We're even looking now in 2022 to expand this, looking to purchase a convent here in town to turn into a temporary housing for those that are literally sleeping on the street tonight and can be off the street tomorrow.
And with a stable housing for a month or so?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we'll convert the convent into like a little, call it an Airbnb for the homeless, right? So someone can get a room with a bed, there's a kitchen there, there's a bathroom there. And I think, coming from the street, just the fact that you have a door and a key makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, this is awesome because there's a lot of, we work with a lot of homeless or unhoused, and there's a lot of obstacles. There's IDs, there's getting that voucher, there's, maybe you have to prove that you were homeless, so you have to go stay in the mission, but you get assaulted at the mission. I want to talk to you a lot more after we do this show about some of the work we're trying to do and how you're already doing it and tapping into that maybe.
So I'll be glad to stay and talk about that. But I hear you. I think the obstacles you mentioned are right there. Even if someone is supported by Section 8, to get into any unit, there's a route you need to go. Then sometimes it's short and sometimes it's long. But enough that you need to go and fill out an application, and that landlord need to send out and wait for a report, and then you need to sign the contract, and then you need to get Section 8 documents, and only then that can be a week. Now, for someone with a roof over his head, a week is not a lot of time, right? But for someone without, that's a long time to be on the street, especially with the Michigan winter. So what we're doing with that new project is we're trying to create a fast track, where basically if Section 8 tells me this guy needs a place, well, first of all, let's get him a place, then deal with the paperwork. And I think that will help them basically go and literally pick a person from the street, and that same night, that person will have a hot shower, a bed, and a door to lock behind them.
A model like that could end homelessness in our city almost immediately.
I know that's exactly what we're trying to do. That's so we're working with city officials, state officials, and we're trying to get and gather as much support. And honestly, we're still learning the needs. We had a meeting with Advent House about 3 weeks ago, and only then it really trickled. It's like she said, any amount of rooms you'll have, I can use. So 30, 100, bring it on. I mean, unfortunately, the problem is so widespread that the need is out there.
Yeah. And so we've got the unhoused that are, for whatever reason, they're unhoused. But you and I talked a little bit earlier. We're also a refugee settlement, resettlement in Lansing here. We've been big at that for decades, and we've got our refugee development center. And there is a wave of even Afghani refugees coming at us right now.
Right.
And you're playing a role in that as well, too, right?
A supportive role. So in some of the plans for that convent, when I toured that the first time, we learned that they were very active, in the hush-hush underground, helping people that are here, as refugees. And this is not a resource I want to cut. So basically, we want to use, once we complete the purchase of that facility, we intend to devote some of that space for that activity exactly. And we're basically working hand in hand with a new nonprofit in town called Immigration Matters. And that's basically what they do. These are immigration attorneys who has their mission to support refugees, help them through, I'm pretty sure, incredible bureaucracy and red tape till they get them, to a safe haven.
Yeah, this is awesome. I have to be honest with you. I was thinking, all right, you're coming on the show, you buy houses, you turn them into rentals, or you flip them or whatever. And I didn't know what to expect, where to find the passion in the show, because I had a complete different perception, and you have me so pumped up right now about.
So first of all, I think a lot of people have that, we discussed that before as well. Real estate investors in many cases are perceived as vultures. Oh, it's this guy with the money trying to buy my house for 2 cents on the dollar, kick me to the curb. The deal is probably not going to be fair. And again, why is it a misperception? Because first of all, with any purchase of a house, any deal we make, it always takes two to tango. So if I come and offer someone an unreasonable price for its house, why would he even sell it to me? Just go elsewhere and find a decent guy. So I learned that if I want to buy someone's house, the offer has got to be fair. And what we do, and maybe this is the other part of the business on the buy side, when we buy, there is a lot of so we help people that not necessarily want to sell, moving from a 3-bedroom to a 6-bedroom, but kind of need to sell. A lot of people that sell us houses are people that are in a bind, right? They can't make the mortgage payment, sickness, they lost a job. And we come in to provide alternative solutions outside the traditional real estate sphere, where everyone would be, call your real estate agent, show your house, and someone's going to buy it, right? But some people can't do that, right? Because the house is in terrible condition. No bank is going to give any loan against this property. So he's only limited to a cash buyer. He doesn't want to do a bunch of showings because a lot of them are embarrassed, right? They couldn't take great care of the house. Now the roof is leaky. There's a little bit of mold there. Something is squeaking there. So we provide an alternative in terms of, I'm a cash buyer. So first of all, I'm not dependent on any bank. I see a house, I like it, I can buy it, right? If we can strike a deal, we can strike a deal. And the goal is obviously to make it a win-win deal, because if I buy a house and someone just, gave it to me, then he has nowhere to live. Plus, when we come in and help someone in a bind like that, say, sell us the house before it goes to foreclosure, his record stays clean. So tomorrow when he's out there looking for a rental, he doesn't have an eviction or a foreclosure on his record, therefore no landlord will give him a place. And the side of that, it's just tons of money saving, because if you look at the traditional real estate sphere, when you hire a real estate agent and pay him 6 to 7% as the seller, right, as a commission, well, why is it happening? In many cases, and again, some real estate agents out there are great, but some of them, all they do is take the information, post it online, sit and wait. Someone makes an offer, they make 6%. Someone doesn't make an offer, they'll call you back and say, well, I don't think we can sell for 100. Let's try for 80. So now you dropped 80,000, you're still paying a commission. Whereas if you cut the middleman and go straight to that buyer, i.e. me, it's fast, it's easy. I'll buy the house as is. You don't need to clean it, fix it. You don't need to bake a pie. None of those tricks are required. I can see beyond all that stuff. And if we can strike a deal, then, I bought a house, which I need. You got your cash offer. More often than not, you can be out of it in 14 days, 7 days, right? Instead of waiting for banks and inspections and appraisals and maybe an average 60-day closing. So you can get that money in your pocket in 2 weeks and get all of it without paying any middlemen, any fees, commission, none of that stuff. And you're good to go.
My son just closed on a house and moved in 2 weeks ago. And he spent maybe 3 months making offers above the asking price, like constantly. And it must have been 30 or 40 houses that he made offers on and never got them until this one. Yep. How has that affected you, or is that a different segment in the market? Because probably that's not happening in really ugly houses. I think those are.
I think well, first of all, the market, it's a seller's market right now. The inventory is low. People are not building new homes, so it's basically deal with whatever inventory you currently have. It has affected us. We've seen a lot of people going with a crazy ask price. Unfortunately, the fact that the market is supporting it doesn't mean that the banks will. So we've seen this phenomenon where a lot of properties go on the market, they get a way over asking price offer, but then they go back because the house won't appraise, right? Because the fact that you want the money and the market support is great, but you still have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage, etc. That's what it's worth. On our end, it's not necessarily affected it. Am I paying a little bit more for houses right now along with everyone? Yeah, probably. But again, I think the people who reach out to us are either the people who are in real dire need to sell because, in 2 weeks, the house might not be theirs anymore. So I think it's a little bit of a different crowd we're catering to. And those that are going with the multiple offers, and these are, I think, good houses in great conditions, in great neighborhoods where people are, fighting for that house. So they don't need my services. And we get that here and there. Sometimes people call me and say, I'm looking to sell my house. Like, my first question is, are you listed with a real estate agent? And usually they say no. And then my next question is, well, why not? And if the reason is good, because my house is ugly, because I need cash, because I need to do it now, then okay, let's have a conversation. But in many cases, or not many, but in few cases, I get to speak with a person. It's like, dude, you don't need my services. Go hire a real estate agent. You're going to get every dime your house is worth. You don't need to discount it to sell it to me. Just go. We're not a good fit, which again, some of my competitors, I don't think they'll do that. If there's an opportunity and if a guy is not super educated about his options, they'll take advantage of it. For me, and I see it more in Chicago where I fix and flip, if I buy someone's house and you give them the wrong deal and it's not fair, and then you sell it for much, much more, and the guy's like, oh, I could have done that. So if I feel the guy has the capability of doing that and getting the absolute max on his property, I'll absolutely tell him that. I'm trying to push away clients, but we're trying to keep our business as absolute honest as possible because we want the money with the blessing.
So one more question about that. Have you ever bought somebody's house but then rented them a different place, like they were in a desperate situation?
That didn't happen yet. I think a lot of the stuff I bought here in Lansing, mainly recent, was the last 3 I bought were involved with tragedies. People died. So that's, there's no, I mean, it's just someone who inherited a property. He's like in somewhere Alabama. He's like, I don't want to be a landlord. I want to cash out. I got this property. Give me what you give me, and I'll move on. In other cases, I see a lot of people who sell and move out of state. We had tons of people sell and go to Florida. Apparently, that's a thing. So no, to answer your question, didn't happen to date that someone sold me a house, and maybe they sell and they stay as a rent back for a month until they figure out their stuff. They needed the money now, then they can pack and get a moving company, etc. But didn't happen that someone stayed long term after they sold it.
And then about what's going on right now, do you see like a flood of foreclosures coming if they lift? I think Biden just lost something today.
Yep.
And is there going to be a lot of foreclosures, you think, or?
So even if there will be, and that's a little hard to say because again, during the pandemic, a lot of those people got support. So I don't know how many are back on mortgages or got them on a freeze mortgage and maybe just put the money aside and we'll go back to it now. I don't see the market going to be flooded with this because what happened in 2008, tons of foreclosures and the banks just flooded them out. And what happened is because there was such a flood of foreclosures, the bank weren't able to recover even the basics that were owed to them just because, inventory was that high and demand was not. So even in 2009, 10, they started just dripping them out. So instead of just having 100 a week, they would do 10 a week for longer times. But by keeping the inventory low, they kind of balanced the demand. So there might be, to answer your question, I think there's going to be a little bit of wave of foreclosure behind the scenes. The bank are going to foreclose on some, but us investors or other buyers, we're not going to see the market flooded with them and prices dropping like happened in 2008. That's not a scenario I anticipate.
That's comforting to know. Somehow you've built this huge trust with me right now. Actually, let's talk about that a little bit. If somebody was in a bad situation or they just wanted to talk to you about their situation, what's the best way for them to contact you?
So first of all, there's a contact form on my website, which is webuyhousesoflansing.com. And I'll put my my local number here. They can call and text anytime, and we can sit and talk and discuss strategies. My number is 517-481-3666. And so if someone is in a bind and he's trying to save the house, there are ways to do that as well. I mean, we help people stop foreclosure just in a short-term deal whereby as soon as I make an offer, the bank gets an offer. First of all, the foreclosure proceedings stop because now we're getting into negotiations. So I've worked with other clients, even if I didn't end up buying the house, but I bought them 2 months, 3 months, and it's absolutely no skin off my back. I mean, it's just making an offer, right, and showing proof of funds and telling the bank, yes, I'm going to buy this house. And at one point, well, the deal fell through. But sometimes for a person to get those 2 months, it's enough for him to get back on his feet, refinance, get a loan forgiveness, etc. Plus, one of the ladies I work with at Immigration Matters, I mean, she knows a ton. So whether it's real estate, mortgage, law, she's an attorney, and I think half of my tenants got free advice from her that were, we do that much money? Oh, we never know. So a lot of it is just being exposed to the right information. Sometimes just speaking with the right guy changes your perspective. A person who might think, my house is a piece of garbage, no one's going to buy it. Yeah, and you walk in and it's like, dude, your house is great. You need a coat of paint. That's it, and you'll sell. And so absolutely, yeah. If anyone needs that help, that advice, my number is here. Contact me through the website. Call me, text me. We can have a conversation.
Thank you very much for that. So did we forget to talk about anything? Is there anything else you want to talk about on that side?
No, I think we kind of covered most of it. So I think, well, maybe just to summarize, I think if someone's looking to sell a house, and it's amazing how not a lot of people know that, but there are multiple ways to do that. So first of all, if you want to hire an agent, have them do it, your house is in good condition and you're not rushing anywhere, sure, by all means, do that. Put it on the market, get the best dollar you can get. Some people go for sale by owner. I think for sale by owner is kind of losing its popularity because people feel that they need another person to work with, whether you're a buyer or seller. That connection, seller to buyer, might work if you're a seasoned investor. You go to the buyer, you can have the conversation, and you know the law and you know the rules and you know what to do. Um, but if you're looking to sell, and especially if you need something done quickly, if you don't want to go through the hassle of, the 60 days and you don't want to pay commissions, then you have another option. There's me and other cash buyers here in town. Call us. Let's come take a look at your house. We'll make you an offer. And obviously we understand, if the offer doesn't work, it doesn't work. The client is never under any obligation to accept, right? But at least, might get an idea. Well, this investor will pay me whatever, 70,000 for the property. Is it really worth for me spending 3 months on the market with an agent where all I'll get is maybe 85 or 90 minus commission, minus this, minus the whole time, basically making the same amount of money.
I love it. What's something you do every damn day to push this mission forward?
So, well, I meet a lot of sellers. I talk with a lot of sellers. I mean, I'm always in a buying mode. We're always looking for that next property, the next project. Again, nice house, ugly houses in everywhere in the Metro Lansing area is areas we work in. So I'm out a lot. I look at properties. I meet with sellers. On good days we have closings, and then obviously managing the construction team, which is constant work, whether it's a new project or just regular maintenance. So I think, most of my day is pretty much around that.
Is the city pretty easy to work with? Permits and all of that?
So it depends. I think once you reach a point where the city understands that you're here to stay, and especially if you're supporting some of the city's target missions, right? I mean, the city fights homelessness, and if you're a part of the solution rather than the problem, then I think you have more listening ears. Still, they're not going to do us any discount. I mean, an inspection is an inspection. It's the fact that is going to an affordable income and taking a homeless from the street. They'll still want, the plumbing, the electrical, everything has to be, which, by the way, a lot of people see as a burden. I actually appreciate it. You get a third party coming into your property and telling you, hey, man, this is not working. This is not working. You should do this and that. A lot of people think, oh, it's that annual inspection. What is it going to hit me with again? But if you're coming from the perspective of whatever is hitting you is probably stuff you need to fix. He's not going to come and tell you, it's an ugly light fixture, put a new one in. So I actually welcome it. I have no problem with that. And in terms of, speaking with the higher ups in the city, I think we're seeing more support now that, again, they see that A, we're here to stay, and B, we're part of the solution, in fighting homelessness and trying to kind of align our interests with theirs.
Very good. So we daisy chain the shows together, and yesterday I had a young author named Sydney on the show, and her question for you is, what is something that you do often but you wish you didn't do at all?
So definitely smoking.
Yeah,
it's a time killer and a body killer. But on the professional perspective, sometimes and I get that a lot from colleagues. It's like, sometimes I overanalyze deals. It's like you look into a deal and it's like, I got to cover all the bases. And what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if the economy sphere changes? And I don't think it sometimes pushes you into the analysis paralysis mode, which, every time I look back and, I just killed a week doing nothing really.
That's funny. I was having a small friend session with a friend of mine that owns a business down the street, and she wants to do another deal, and she's over analyzing the whole thing, and her gut's telling her to do it, but then she's like, something's wrong here, I can't, and just analysis paralysis. And
well, you got to find someone you trust who understands, and sometimes that third party giving you a completely fresh look will either show you things you're missing, or we'll give you the push to do the deal. But in any case, we'll probably save you a week of back and forth until you can actually make the decision. I mean, in many lines of business, just being able to make the decision. By the way, sometimes it's a wrong decision. I mean, mistakes are there for us to learn from. And assuming you can go with a mistake that won't drag you down completely and turn you in, make you lose your business, your home, your family, whatever, then I think it becomes a risk, and taking risk is a part of being a business owner.
So tomorrow on the show I have Hezekiah Trevino. He's a youth pastor for Campus Life. And what question would you like me to pass to him?
So I would like to ask him, what would he do differently every damn day to create a bigger impact on his target audience?
Yeah, I like that question. Nobody's thrown every damn day into it. So you've actually said it several times. So thank you very much.
Well, I come from the world of marketing. Before I did that, I did some marketing as a side career. So,
Yeah. What would you do differently every damn day?
So I think I would do less of the analysis and more on the straightforward, drive the business forward instead of just thinking on how to drive the business forward.
Yeah, that's, I was thinking when you asked that question, then I'm going to turn it on you. And then you're going to say, well, if I already had this, or if I already had this idea, why ain't I doing this idea? And you tied it right back to the other one. So learning, we're all still learning.
And I think sometimes, knowing the answer is easy, and actually it's just like smoking, right?
Oh, yeah.
We know it's not the right thing to do. Can we just wake up tomorrow and quit cold turkey? I wish.
Yeah. See, I think that pairing these two questions together, the one from yesterday and yours, might actually be something that could make me quit smoking. Maybe that's my every damn day for September 12th.
I hope
In addition to the other thing I'm going to do, I'm also going to stop smoking every damn day.
Let me know. I'm going to join you. Let's go on a challenge.
That's an epiphany for me. So yeah, we will communicate, and let's pick a date together and just do it.
Agreed.
All right. It's a deal. Happiness, sadness, joy, hope, and or love. Which word or words would you like to talk about?
Well, I think love is it, right? I mean, it's in every part of your life, whether it's, your family life, your business life. Forget who said it, but, someone said, find something you love to do and you'll never need to work another day in your life, right? And I feel somewhat lucky in that, because I'm doing something I really, really love to do. And I can't say it's 100%, but most of the time it doesn't feel work. It just feel like follow your passion. Same thing when I was a drummer, when I was full blown drummer, that's what I did all day long. And, making money or not, I really, really loved it.
See, I think that you saying that is even more evidence that you're very authentic in what you're saying about helping people, because money can't buy that. You can have a pile of money and you won't feel that way, but you help some people, you see maybe a young mother or a young family and you're helping them out, that gives a lot of authenticity to your story.
It's an absolute transformation in someone's life. One of my tenants, he was homeless and he was helped by just a passerby. She was just a very kind-hearted lady who would just once a week go buy sandwiches and drinks, just drive around and just give it out to the homeless. And she stumbled upon this person, and something there was like, I want to help him all the way. So she contacted us. She took him through all the processes of Section 8 and documented everything he needed to a point, even paid his security deposit moving in, found him a place, and luckily she found me, and we put him in one of our buildings, and the building is a little community. So now he's like friends with all the neighbors, and they celebrate birthdays. And now you see a person, you look where he's at right now, and you put it 4 months ago, and you completely help to transform that person's life. It becomes, he has a shelter, he's back working, everything he needed in life at that stage, he now has. That's amazing.
And that building that community and having that connection. I mean, connection is the opposite of everything bad. It's the opposite of addiction. It's the opposite of homelessness. It's the opposite of depression. So a lot of times people will get into housing, but they just don't know how to be in housing because they don't have that support around them. And they go back to being unhoused or homeless almost immediately.
Right. Yeah,
Jesus.
and you see the same thing in the job market, right? If someone
Yeah.
doesn't have the skills to hold a job, if he's bringing some street skills into a work environment, most employers are just not going to take it, right? I mean, I understand you're mad, but you can't throw tables and desks here. You gotta, there's a different way of handling it. And again, that's a lot of people, in this situation. The only reason they are like that is because they never had anything else. No one showed them anything else. That's the reality they live in.
Yeah. And housing is so important even to that job too. You can't hold a job if you're living under a bridge or living on the back 40 or whatever.
Cannot.
So,
Cannot. Not for more than a week or two.
sir, I'm just blown away by what you do,
Thank you.
and the impact that you're having. You're saying the people that I know are working on this problem. I am so happy you are on this team. Thank you for giving us. I had never heard of Immigration Matters before, but now I'm really curious about what they're doing and if we
Yeah,
can
they're
help
just
them.
starting out, but it's going to be amazing.
So, and I can't wait to get to know you more as we go through this journey of whatever's going to happen in our future. So, thank you so very much for taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, and you have it.
Well, what would you like to take us out with?
So I don't know. I guess maybe the idea that there are, first of all, when it comes to real estate, a lot of it is knowledge and information. A lot of it is available. A lot of it is available for free. And I'm here. You call me, text me. If you have a question, you're selling a house, you're looking to buy a house, you're looking for a rental, you're homeless and you need to get out of the street, give us a call.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit in a minute. All right. Okay, everyone. That's a wrap for today. I'll see you tomorrow at 2, and we've got Hezekiah, and we'll talk about his youth ministry work. Thank you again, Lior, and everyone. We are out.